for hosting the hearing today. I want to thank each of you for testifying about your experience with PPP forgiveness process. As of August the 20th, in my district alone, which is the 15th district of Florida, Central Florida, 10,254 businesses have received $304 million in PPP loans, saving tens of thousands of jobs. For many, the program has been a lifesaver. I've actually talked with so many of them since the launch of PPP. Like one, for instance, Mr. Powell, I can think of specifically. He owns a company called Boulder Athletic Wear in Plant City, and they manufacture women's athletic wear. The program was a lifesaver for his business because it was an easy application process that provided a quick capital infusion to help make sure that he could retain his employees through the retail closures. One of Mr. Powell's biggest concerns as he goes into the forgiveness process is that while the PPP funding made a significant impact, the business has still not fully recovered, as is the case with the vast majority of businesses across the country. His biggest request has been for a second round of PPP funding to help them as the economic recovery continues. My questions for Mrs. Ozer, you mentioned that Fulton Bank has approved nearly 11,000 PPP loans for a total of almost $2 billion, and that you've already received notices from many of your PPP borrowers that have either closed their doors or filed for bankruptcy. And so my question to you is, out of those 11,000 some odd PPP loans that Fulton Bank has approved, do you have a specific figure or do you have a sense, one or the other, for how many notifications like this your institution has received? So how many of these 11,000 businesses would you say at this point today have either closed their doors or filed for bankruptcy?
I do not have the exact figures. Anecdotally, I've spoken to at least 5 different businesses that are planning to close. However, there are borrowers out there that we don't know about, and so I cannot put a figure on it. The problem is that without being able to have any direction on what to do with these loans if a borrower does go out of business or does declare bankruptcy, we question how we collect the guarantee from the SBA because there's no guidance on that. Your question about the exact numbers, I don't know. I mean, we've had chat rooms with lenders all across the country who have been experiencing this, that businesses are closing and some of them are filing bankruptcy, but there's also businesses that are trying to sell. And there's not enough guidance on what we should do for them if they have a PPP loan and they want to sell their business. They need to strike while the iron is hot. And they're unable to sell their business because there's no guidance on how we should do that if they do have a PPP loan. So there's a lot of things that need to be fixed in this program so that we can clearly help our borrowers.
Thank you, Ms. Ozer. I appreciate that. And I think your experience is consistent with my experience and many of the lenders that I've spoken with, and certainly the small business owners I've spoken with, some of whom have gone out of business after literally decades of being open, some of them generational businesses that they've spent literally decades building and have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And so I would also encourage, as Mr. Stauber has just said a moment ago, for leadership in the House to put aside some of the partisan issues, particularly as we lead up to the election here. Let's put the interests of the American people, specifically our small businesses. Let's figure out what we need to do to fix the problems that the lenders are having and getting confirmation on what to do to get these loans forgiven. And I think in large part, this legislation would fix those issues. But let's hear the concerns and the cries, really, of small businesses who are trying desperately to keep their businesses open. And with that, I yield the remainder of my time.